Center Alaska 261, we are in a dive here.
One sensor, one wire, one decision. Sometimes in aviation, the difference between a safe landing and catastrophe is a single mistake. Today, we're looking at 5 crashes where one tiny error led to tragedy and changed aviation forever. I'm Fly High Hub, and this is 5 crashes caused by a single mistake. January 31st, 2000. Alaska Airlines Flight 261 was cruising at 31,000 feet from Puerto Vallarta to Seattle. Everything seemed normal, until the pilots felt something was wrong with the horizontal stabilizer. The horizontal stabilizer controls the aircraft's pitch up and down movement. On Flight 261, the jackscrew that moved this stabilizer had been slowly wearing down for months. The jackscrew threads needed to be lubricated every 650 flight hours, but Alaska Airlines had gotten approval to extend this to every 2,550 hours, nearly 4 times longer. One maintenance decision, one cost-cutting measure. As Flight 261 flew that day, the worn jackscrew threads finally failed completely. The pilots lost pitch control. They tried everything, even flying the plane upside down to maintain altitude. The MD-83 crashed into the Pacific Ocean near Point Mugu, California. All 88 people on board were killed. Investigators found that if the jackscrew had been properly maintained, this crash would never have happened. The FAA immediately ordered inspections of all MD-80 series aircraft. Alaska Airlines paid $500 million in settlements and was forced to overhaul its entire maintenance program. Today, jackscrew inspections are mandatory and frequent. One shortcut led to 88 deaths, but saved thousands of future lives through new regulations. May 25, 1979, Chicago O'Hare International Airport. American Airlines Flight 191A DC-10 began its takeoff roll to Los Angeles. As the aircraft lifted off, witnesses saw something horrifying. The entire left engine and pylon tore away from the wing. The engine pylon, the structure connecting the engine to the wing, had developed a crack. But here's the thing. That crack didn't appear from normal wear and tear. It appeared because of how American Airlines was doing maintenance. The manufacturer, McDonnell Douglas, said to remove the engine and pylon separately, a time-consuming process requiring 2 operations. American Airlines found a shortcut. Remove them together using a forklift. Faster, cheaper. One procedural change, one unauthorized shortcut. But removing both together put stress on the pylon in ways it wasn't designed to handle. Over time, microscopic cracks formed, and on May 25, 1979, that crack became catastrophic. Flight 191 rolled left, stalled, and crashed into a field. All 271 people on board died, plus 2 on the ground. It remains the deadliest aviation accident in US history. The entire DC-10 fleet was grounded. The FAA discovered multiple airlines had been using the unapproved maintenance procedure. McDonnell Douglas redesigned the pylon. Airlines were banned from any maintenance shortcuts. And the aviation industry learned a brutal lesson. There are no acceptable shortcuts when lives are at stake. August 14, 2005. Helios Airways Flight 522 took off from Cyprus heading to Athens. Within minutes, something was terribly wrong. Air traffic control tried to contact the pilots. No response. Fighter jets were scrambled and flew alongside the 737. They saw the pilot slumped over the controls, unconscious. The aircraft flew on autopilot for over 2 hours, with everyone on board already dead or dying. It finally crashed into a mountain near Athens when the fuel ran out. Here's what happened. The pressurization system has 2 modes, automatic and manual. During ground maintenance the night before, a technician had switched it to manual for a test. 1 switch, left in the wrong position. When Flight 522 took off, the cabin didn't pressurize. As the aircraft climbed to 34,000 feet, the oxygen level dropped. The pilots became confused due to hypoxia, oxygen starvation to the brain. They thought they had a cooling problem because a warning horn was sounding. But it was actually the cabin altitude warning. The plane was warning them they were running out of breathable air. Within minutes, everyone on board lost consciousness. The autopilot kept flying. All 121 people on board eventually died from lack of oxygen. The maintenance technician who left the switch in manual was charged with manslaughter. Airlines worldwide now have mandatory checklists that verify pressurization mode before every flight. Boeing redesigned the warning system so pilots can't confuse a pressurization warning with anything else. One forgotten switch killed 121 people. But the changes made prevented countless future tragedies. August 12, 1985. Japan Airlines Flight 123, a Boeing 747, departed Tokyo heading to Osaka. 12 minutes into the flight, passengers heard a loud bang. The rear pressure bulkhead had failed. The explosion was so violent it destroyed the aircraft's hydraulic systems and blew off the vertical stabilizer, the tail fin that keeps the plane flying straight. 7 years earlier, this same aircraft had suffered a tail strike during landing. The tail scraped the runway. Boeing repaired the pressure bulkhead, but they made one critical error. The repair splice used a single row of rivets instead of 2 rows. 1 row, that's it. For 7 years, every pressurization cycle weakened that repair. Every flight, the metal fatigued a little more. And on August 12, 1985, that single row of rivets finally failed. 1 repair error made 7 years earlier. The pilots fought for 32 minutes to control the crippled 747, trying desperately to return to Tokyo. But without hydraulics and with no tail fin, it was impossible. The 747 crashed into a mountain ridge. Of the 524 people on board, only 4 survived. It remains the deadliest single aircraft accident in history. Boeing completely overhauled its repair procedures. The FAA mandated that all major structural repairs require multiple levels of inspection and sign-off. Japan Airlines became obsessed with safety. Today, they have one of the best safety records in the world. 520 people died because of a repair that wasn't double-checked. But their deaths created a culture where no repair is ever signed off by just one person. October 29, 2018. Lion Air Flight 610. March 10, 2019. Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. 2 crashes, 2 brand new Boeing 737 MAX aircraft, 346 people dead. And it all came down to 1 sensor and 1 piece of software. Boeing had added a new system to the 737 MAX called MCAS, Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System. Its job was to automatically push the nose down if the aircraft pitched up too steeply. MCAS relied on one angle of attack sensor, just one. On both flights, that single sensor gave faulty data. MCAS thought the plane was stalling when it wasn't, so it automatically pushed the nose down, hard. The pilots fought the system, pulling back on the controls. MCAS kept forcing the nose down, over and over. On Lion Air 610, the pilots fought for 11 minutes before the 737 dove into the Java Sea. All 189 people died. 5 months later, Ethiopian 302 experienced the exact same failure. The pilots followed Boeing's emergency procedures, but it wasn't enough. The aircraft crashed 6 minutes after takeoff. All 157 people died. Boeing had made several fatal decisions. MCAS relied on one sensor instead of two. Pilots weren't properly trained on MCAS. Boeing downplayed the system to avoid requiring expensive simulator training. The FAA trusted Boeing's safety analysis without independent verification. The entire 737 MAX fleet was grounded worldwide for 20 months, the longest grounding in aviation history. Boeing paid over $2.5 billion in fines and settlements. Multiple executives resigned. Airlines cancelled orders. The 737 MAX has been redesigned. MCAS now uses two sensors. Pilots must complete simulator training, and the FAA no longer lets manufacturers self-certify safety. 346 people died because of one software system that relied on one sensor. But their deaths fundamentally changed how aircraft are certified. 5 crashes, 5 single mistakes, 1 maintenance shortcut, 1 unauthorized procedure, 1 switch left in the wrong position, 1 repair that wasn't double-checked, 1 sensor with no backup. Together, these mistakes killed over 1,400 people. But they also saved countless thousands. Every crash investigation makes flying safer. Every mistake identified prevents the next tragedy. Every regulation written in blood protects future passengers. Today, commercial aviation is the safest form of transportation on Earth. And that's because the industry learned from these disasters and refuses to forget them. If you found this video informative, hit that subscribe button. I cover aviation history, crash investigations, and military aircraft every week. Which crash do you want me to investigate next? Comment below. Fly safe, fly smart. I'm Fly High Hub.